Why this webinar series? What needs is it meeting for professional educators for secondary learners?
We're really excited to offer a webinar series to secondary teachers across the province. We know from a middle series that we've started that conversation in different contexts across our province is so critical. We know that sometimes folks are feeling isolated within their schools or buildings or districts, and we know that this is an opportunity to come together and celebrate the amazing work that's happening. Our hope is that folks will be inspired, that they'll get connected, and that they'll be able to extend their practice to make a difference for the students and families that they serve.
In our work together, we've really had this opportunity to think about the potential that we have to make a difference for all kids. Secondary schools are a challenge. Secondary schools are kind of designed, they're not kind of designed, they're really designed in a way that is based on an old system where things are separated and you have so many teachers and students are expected to come in, fit in, do their thing, and move on. And we've been trying to make change around this for as long as I've been in secondary, and that's 30 years. I'm gonna wink now. So how can this series be a chance to connect folks across BC and beyond to share the ways that we're making secondary school engaging for all kids, relevant for all kids, disrupting systems we don't believe in, but we have trouble moving away from because it's so historically set that we don't even realize that the script that we're in needs to be rewritten. So Denise, what do you think the potential is for this secondary webinar series?
Folks who have heard me speak have heard me refer to our secondary learners as sleeping warriors. We put them to sleep in our system the way it's structured. The challenges that face them, and they can see them on the horizon in their lives, that they'll be stepping into work and projects that we're facing some of those challenges head on if they're not already. Really call us to waken them and inspire them to engage deeply. That's really hard in the secondary system as it's structured today. I think educators all over the province, what I hear is they want to make change and they just don't even know where to begin or have started and feel alone. And so what I'm really hoping is that this is a chance to come together and remember that we're not alone. There's actually people all over doing this work, and that together we can get farther.
What can you expect coming to this series, Tammy?
The secondary series is an opportunity for people across the province to come together and share and innovate. What I'm super excited about is the opportunity for us to showcase different practices across our province that we can then look at how can we contextualize and support that in different settings. The opportunity to work with rural educators where innovation lives to help us look in bigger cities and context as to what that work could look like, I think is such a great opportunity. So I think seeding ideas, having that opportunity to get excited and inspired and reminded about the great work we are doing in the province.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
So what is it like structurally going to look like? Okay, so the webinar series is embedded in that. Are there like prompts for working together, or is it like a lecture series or?
So the series is an opportunity. We have a fantastic facilitator, Dr. Leighton Schellert, who will bring folks together, and we have the opportunity to have kind of a provocation and sharing, and then the opportunity for folks to come together and talk about their experiences, what that might be like contextualized in their work, and then coming back together as a whole group. And then we archive the series again so folks can maybe take it back and share it with other colleagues and go deeper in the work. So it's kind of a provocation, a sharing opportunity to collaborate, and then getting back together. So it's a very interactive webinar series, and it goes really quickly. We're always grateful for Leighton brings big energy to this work. So it's an exciting, fast-paced 75 minutes or so of learning together.
What we've learned through the Middle Years webinar series is that folks crave a chance to have conversation, but also aren't used to being in conversation with folks from other communities. And so this webinar series is interactive. You'll be receiving ideas or exploring ideas from educators in British Columbia, but you'll also be in a small breakout group with folks from different parts of the province, just getting a chance to hear what folks are doing and what they're thinking about. This is really not about, I've got it all figured out. This is about, here's where I am right now, and where does this make me think I can be going? We're engaging in like a dialogue together, a dialogic practice that moves us away from knowing the answers to being inquirers together, to being supported, to be vulnerable a bit, to say, what do I not know? But also to say, here's where what I've been doing fits in, and here's where I should maybe go deeper because this has potential. And maybe here's something I didn't even realize I need to let go of or address, because being together in this community with researchers and other educators, other secondary educators from across BC, we can realize things together that we just don't even have a chance to really figure out when we're just so busy doing the good work that we're doing in our contexts.
You know, one of the things that I love about these conversations is that folks often show up, you know, worried, maybe a little bit anxious, maybe feeling discouraged, and leave feeling on fire. You know that when you first became a teacher and you felt like you could change the world. And when we get to have these rich conversations with our colleagues trying to do similar work and being reminded about what we've nailed. We've nailed this part. Here's the part that I can, you know, struggle with. I see people come alive in a way that is really inspiring.
The first session in our 3-part series this year helps us as secondary educators think about connection, belonging, all under the umbrella of social emotional learning. Miriam Miller, who's a researcher in this area, and myself will anchor us in some current research and practice that really helps us think about how can secondary school be meaningful and a place of belonging for kids, and how the ways that we engage with our learners, and we think about, in our case in BC, the core competencies, can really be transformative within whatever we're doing to really help kids feel known, seen, valued, and like they have an important part to play and place to be in our secondary schools and classrooms.
Wow, spending time with Leona and Beth in this next session, what a privilege. The session is focused on equity and diversity, and some time will be spent unpacking what does that exactly mean in the secondary world anyway? What does equity actually mean? And I thought we were already pretty good at this in BC. I think that's a great question to start with. Leona and Beth bring lived experience, years of reflective practice, and on-the-ground knowledge about how to shift our practice so that we're really creating equitable spaces that honor and value diversity. Two really amazing educators for us to spend some time with. One of the keys in navigating our way to equity and diversity is learning to listen deeply. Who are we listening to? Who's deciding? On behalf of whom? Educators will explore some of these questions with Beth and Leona.
We're really excited about session 3 with a focus on assessment. Excited to have Trevor McKenzie and Emma Milliken from School District 61 come and share with us the power of using assessment with students and for students. I think so often in secondary assessment and communicating student learning are still tricky, and students feel like that's something done to them. And we really want to look at how do we use assessment practices to support and engage learners and develop agency so students understand their role in their learning, that they get excited about the next steps and they see their potential and the opportunities for growth, not simply completing and doing and moving through our system, but as active, co-creators and co-constructors of the way they engage in their learning.
We might have a fourth session depending on how the series is received. So stay tuned. I guess come to the series. And if there's this real feeling of energy and momentum, we're gonna have a fourth session maybe May 2nd. And maybe it'll focus on connecting all these things together: equity, diversity, assessment, belonging, and engagement, all within a frame of, I don't know, maybe backward design and UDL. But let's just see if that's where we want to go, because there's no point in planning something too far along the way, because it's really about the people who show up and what we make together that makes a difference in this province, in our schools, for our kids, and with our kids and communities. We really have that opportunity here to make such a difference because we're working with educators in this province who care so deeply about their kids and really want to move things forward.